Help kzomradio build towards the future. We are currently looking to expand our network and need all the help and support we can get. Please visit kzomradio.com/fundraising for details. Hey everyone from kzomradio.com, Matt Jarbo here with another exciting season of Who'd Win in a Fight. For those of you who don't know what Who'd Win in a Fight is, it's a show created by myself, Mark Dixon, and our friend Jeff a couple of years ago, where we pit two fictional characters, or in some cases non-fictional characters, against each other in a battle royale to the death. So after a 4-year hiatus, we're back. And this time I'm joined once again by Mark Dixon. Say hey, Mark.
Hey, how's it going?
And replacing Jeff is going to be Jason Meyer, who is what I like to call the bearded hippie.
Hello.
So you can say hi, Jason. Okay, for Jason...
You can speak. I know the man might be listening, but it's okay to talk.
Yeah, it's okay. We understand that you're currently in your bunker writing angry letters to the government, and that is okay.
Yes, and I have my tinfoil hat on. So
you do. It's true. Okay. And he looks like John Lennon from like the 80s before he was shot. Just saying. That's... So when we do the Beatles...
Why is that funny? Why is it funny that he got shot?
It's not funny that he got shot. It's a little...
It's sad that he got shot because Yoko Ono was right next to him and didn't get shot. That's why that's sad.
Yeah, that is true. It is true. So as you can see, the humor is still here. And for just a friendly reminder for all of you listening at home who are under the age of 18, we say fuck a lot. This is the no-hold-barred show where we say a lot of dirty things. So deal with it. But to bring it to where back home, so to speak, this episode we're going to be pitting Jason Bourne versus James Bond, a long-time conversational battle that we've all had, and I'm sure a lot of you have had at home too. So let's open up to the floor. What do you guys think? Who'd win in a fight, Jason Bourne or James Bond?
Go ahead, Jason.
I kind of go back and forth. Of course, if you go off of what you see in the movies, I would say they go more into Jason Bourne's fighting background and his abilities, but Bond has more of the gadgets and the support from MI6.
Well, let's take that back for a second. Let's figure this out. Are we talking Bond prior to Daniel Craig, because there haven't been gadgets in the Daniel Craig Bond, or are we talking like Pierce Brosnan Bond, or Sean Connery Bond?
Yeah, there haven't been any gadgets in the Daniel Craig, granted, but I say if we're doing Jason Bourne as Matt Damon, then we should keep it current and use Daniel Craig, James Bond.
Okay.
I disagree with that. I think we should go with classic Bond on that one because, dude, when most people think of James Bond, most people think of the classic Bond, the suave man who's about town in the super high-tech cars, going to casinos, fucking high-class bitches, and doing all that. That's...
Look at like back. You go back and watch like Dr. No and some of the originals, and you look at when Sean Connery is fighting, and then
judo chop
with that against what you see Matt Damon do in the Bourne movies, and there is no fight anymore. Okay, you have to like look at the beginning of Quantum of Solace.
I disagree, man. I completely disagree. I think that if it was Matt Damon's Bourne versus Sean Connery's Bond, all Sean Connery would have to do is just look at him and go, "The name's Bond, James Bond," and Damon would be like, "I'm just gonna blow you." That's it, right here.
They'd end up having sex.
They would, because that's what Bond does. Bond is just like, I mean, okay, Jason, have you read the Casino Royale book? I know Marky and I both have.
No.
Okay, in the book, nothing really happens, but.
Sorry. Well, I'm totally bummed that I missed it then.
Well, no, there's the torture scene that's in the movie. That's pretty good. That's in the book too. But I think that if I kind of like the idea of going back to the originals, because if we do, Jason Bourne is Matt Damon, right? Or Matt Damon is Jason Bourne, and Connery was James Bond originally, even though he was from the 60s. We do first level iteration, right?
Okay.
That kind of thing. I mean, granted, totally different time, generations there, but I think that Bond was more suave. And I think the thing is, Jason Bourne doesn't really he's definitely more head on. So he's more like akin to Daniel Craig. If you watch Quantum, they were directly ripping off Bourne in Quantum of Solace, and that's just there's no question about that. But to vary it up a little bit, if you go back and look at how Jason Bourne is, he takes problems on head on, while Connery's Bond felt like more of the I'm going to get to the middle of it before really making any any attacks. Does that make sense? Am I saying that correctly?
Yeah, well, yeah, the Daniel Craig Bond is definitely updated to compete with the Bourne franchise because Bond had gotten a little campy and a little, kind of it wasn't they weren't drawing people in as much, and Bourne came out and everybody loved it, and so that where I think is where the relaunch came with Bond is to be more on par with Bourne.
Well, even if you go back to Casino Royale with Daniel Craig, Judi Dench refers to him as a blunt instrument, and the whole point is him being this, this I want to say like a wall of granite that's slowly being chiseled away into what we know, right? What we recognize as the suave, debonair Bond. Uh, but that's kind of where I see that from is like why we have those kind of those thoughts. Sorry, I lost my track, but anyway. So okay, let's go. Let's figure this out here. So if we're gonna go Connery versus Matt Damon, right? Characters. Where do you think would be the optimal place for them to fight?
The top of a train.
That works. Really, anywhere could work. Um,
Top of a train going through the European countryside somewhere. Eventually, a tunnel comes along. They have to hit the deck,
That, okay,
And,
okay.
and
So
then they go inside the train, and there's a shark tank, and then they fight through the shark tank, and then there's a lion's den. Then they fight through that, and then they're in a volcano.
See, Bourne's whole thing is he can adapt to the environment. I mean, you look at the scenes where he fights and he's grabbing stuff like books and lamps and pens and all kinds of stuff. So
I
anywhere
want
they
to see him.
fight,
I want to see him grab a shark.
yeah, see
Just
him
grab a
grab
shark. Just
shark.
start swinging a shark. Just swinging a shark.
Grab
Just
grab the laser off the top of the head of the shark,
no,
right?
no, 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 no. Just regular sharks, man. We're not going high tech on this. I mean, granted, it's still a shark tank on a train going through Europe, and there's a volcano behind it, but I just want to see him like just pick up a mako shark and start swinging it.
I want to see Bourne fight a supervillain. Because I think that's the key difference right there, right? Is Bourne is like an
But
he's
I mean, the supervillains, like in the Bond movies, the supervillains never really got their hands dirty. It was always their henchmen. Like you had the Jaws and the Odd
Yeah,
Jobs and things like
Jaws.
that.
Yeah.
Those were always the intimidating ones. By the time he got to the main bad guy, it was just pretty much like, I've got you in my sights. You do, Mr. Bond, but I will get away. And then he tries to get away, and then he doesn't, and then the movie's over.
whereas with Bourne it's like I'm gonna go after Julia Stiles for some fucking reason.
Hey, I'd go after Julia Stiles
Well, in the
for
Bourne
entirely
movies,
different reasons, but yeah.
in the Bourne movies, he fights other agents who are trained on par with him, which is kind of what this whole matchup is. Bond versus Bourne is we're saying that Bond is trained as well as Bourne, and so we've almost kind of seen the matchups in the Bourne movies. So whereas so I think that's a better indication of
Well, I think if we're gonna break it down in a straight fisticuff brawl, right?
yeah.
Bourne would outmatch Bond, right?
Yes.
Hmm.
And
Wait,
it's
I have a caveat here.
okay.
Is this before or after Bond slept with the girl? Because
Because
before he sleeps
So
with the
like
girl,
is
he
he
tends to lose the
tired? Is that
fights.
what you're asking?
so what you're saying is if he gets laid, it works
Yeah,
Then
out a
he'll
lot
be
better for him.
tired to fight and he'll just get his ass kicked.
yeah. No, no, dude. He always gets laid before the final fights, and that's how he wins. But if you look at the movies, before he has sex with the girl with the sex pun name, he always like comes away, but he never succeeds. And then after he has sex with her, that's when the climax of the movie starts. Because yeah,
Okay, no, that kind of makes
uh,
sense actually, because that is true. Bond always needs to get laid. Well, no, in Goldeneye he didn't get laid.
Goldeneye, yeah, he
No, but
didn't
he got laid in the beginning of
until after.
Goldeneye. He got laid in the
Yeah,
beginning of Goldeneye,
yeah. So right off the bat, he was like, "All right, I'm good to go."
right? And then even in like the world or Tomorrow Never Dies, he banged Terry Hatcher in the beginning, but then that got her killed. So I mean, we can say that
Tomorrow
if
Never
Bond
Dies
nails
still
a chick, she has a higher chance of dying. But
Oh,
also,
that's
if
definitely true.
Bourne nails a chick, she's got a higher chance of being shot in the back of the head by a sniper from across the fucking town.
right.
Yeah, but they imply that he was with Julia Stiles too, and she survived.
They
She was
never
the only.
implied he fucked Julia Stiles. That never
The
came
hell
up.
they
never got
didn't.
that.
I
Go back
never
and
got that.
watch Ultimatum. In fact, they talk about their previous relationship before he got amnesia. That they were together when they were both working in Paris.
I am Googling like a motherfucker right now.
I
'Cause
don't
I
I don't
remember
swear to
that
God,
at
go back
all.
and watch it. Because
I mean,
she talks about you really don't remember anything, do you? And that whole scene where they're sitting in the cafe before she gets on the bus.
huh. I don't remember any of that, but if he fucked Julia Stiles, I guess that's kind of okay. I mean, Dexter did it, right? So okay, so we're kind of off track here. We're Googling shit. Obviously, the conversation kind of slows down. This is why I already prepped my fucking, scenes to read, unlike you fuckers. Okay, so I guess let's kind of, because we've probably dictated how they're gonna fight. I think in a straight on battle, Bourne would win. But I also think that if they were doing like a cat and mouse scenario, that I think Bond would win because Bond I think would be able to outthink and ultimately outperform Bond. I'm sorry, Bourne, in that kind of environment.
Hmm.
Your thoughts, gentlemen?
Yeah, I could go with that. Well,
A little
yeah,
bit, yeah. I mean,
I'm
think
kind of
about it.
I'm
Like,
going back and forth. Yeah, in some ways, I'm running the movies back through in my head.
because think about it, the whole time in all the movies, what is like the one constant of Matt Damon? It's who am I? I mean, pretty much. That's the question they always ask in all three fucking movies.
Yeah,
Right. Whereas in Bond's world, you have to become like they are. Like, they're both assassins essentially.
yeah,
Like. And if you know the history of how Bond became a double O agent, he had to kill two people. That's like the beginning of the Casino Royale when he fought the dude in the bathroom and then he shot the guy at the table. In the
yeah.
book, it was like he killed someone and then he sniped a dude like through the World Trade Center or something, right? Like, I mean, it was a high rise in New York. But that's how they become it. Like that's how they become a double O is they have to kill people. Whereas like they're trained to be that. Where Bourne was more like, we're going to inject you with these needles. You're gonna be awesome, bitch. Trust me. So it's kind of like that's the kind of way that I see that personally. But kind of curious, Mark, your thoughts?
Well, um, I'm still debating in my own head which one of these guys would come out on top. I mean, they've both dealt with high level agents. They've both proven that they know how to fight somebody else. They've both had successful movies. But ultimately, I think that Jason Bourne would walk away with it because he's scrappier. I don't know. And also, if you read the books as opposed to the movies, Jason Bourne did also take on and defeat Carlos the Jackal. So
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the end of Ultimatum, not at the end of Supremacy, right?
it was at the end of Ultimatum, yeah.
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 So fucking
But
Hollywood,
they totally changed. They changed the entire friggin' movie.
they
Oh,
do
Um,
that.
they totally. Yeah, I everybody I know who read the books hated the movie. I loved the movie. I didn't actually read um the
I
Bourne
did.
books. I saw the miniseries from the '80s with Richard Chamberlain though. That was pretty god awful. So
Yeah, no, I've read the book and I watched the movie, and they're totally different stories, and so I treated them as such, and so I don't hate either one. But
yeah.
he did straight up kill Carlos the Jackal, and he was also like way older at that point in the books too. So I mean, an older Jason Bourne can take on Carlos the Jackal. I don't think Bond has a prayer.
See,
Uh,
I say Bourne takes it. I say Bourne can take any Bond previous to Daniel Craig, if you put Bourne against Daniel Craig Bond, then it basically I think that their fighting styles are so evenly matched. It depends on whose movie they're fighting in.
Yeah, but I mean, on the flip side of that, James Bond, he's an MI6 agent. He's more into the espionage and everything else. Whereas Jason Bourne, he was double black covert, disavowed ghost status, dude. He's
Yeah.
no problem getting in and out of any situation on the fly of his own accord. So, with
I
very
say
little to no support.
You know
out
what?
of the
Fuck
two,
it. Fuck you
I say
both. You're both fucking wrong. All Bond has to do is talk to Q and get some shit down and fucking kill Bourne. That's it.
which
Because
Q will be in the next movie, by the way. He will be in Skyfall.
Uh,
ah,
Q,
man,
Q,
I love Q, but I love Desmond Llewellyn as Q. John
Q
Cleese.
is like a cheat code for this fight, though, man.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, he really is. Actually, that's a good point.
Because, dude, it's like, Q, I need to fight this guy. He's all right, here's a watch that turns into a nuclear weapon. Why not? It's just, he'll give you anything that does anything. Because
Yeah.
there's no limit in a James Bond movie when it comes to those kinds
Do you
of
know?
gadgets.
Do you
It's like,
honestly know what I think would change in the Bourne Bond debate is if Bourne had more sex, because Bond fucks a lot and he always nails hot chicks. In one case, it was a he/she, and
yeah, which one was that? I don't.
God, which one? It was.
Oh, no. I know what you're talking about. No, and it wasn't anyone that Bond fucked. It was a chick from For Your Eyes Only, and she was at the pool party. She was one of the girls at the pool party. He never actually fucked the tranny.
No, they cut that because they cut that scene out. Because she pulls it out and starts helicoptering.
So on top of all
So
of this,
she's
James
shaking.
Bond also knows all there is to know about the crying game as well as the spying game. Awesome.
There we go. I think if I had to throw it down, you guys both say Bourne, and it's after the debate. I came into this going Bond. I love Bond, but 21 movies to 3.
Yeah,
You know,
dude, don't get me wrong. I love James Bond as much as the
So do
next
I.
person. James Bond is like the pimp of the year all year, all day, every day, James Bond. But in a just flat out fight, I think Jason Bourne would pull some crazy Tai Chi bullshit and snap his neck like a chicken.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, I'll give you that one. But I think just because we've definitely been going on this rant for a while. One last question is to finish it up because do you guys think that Quantum of Solace was a bad Bond movie? Because that's the other thing that's up for debate with this is was Quantum a bad movie? I say no.
I don't
No,
think it was a bad movie. I don't think it was a great Bond movie. I just think it was an average kind of action spy movie. I mean, if you took James Bond out of that and threw just a no-name character in there, it would still be the exact same movie. That it took none of the James Bond character into the movie. But that's me.
yeah,
Jason, your thoughts?
actually, that's a very astute observation, and yeah, because he really, I mean, there was no Q. M was in it. There was none of the stuff that you expect from a Bond movie. There was no Q. There were no gadgets. There were no anything. It really was. You could transpose someone else in there, but it was a decent film, though. I enjoyed it.
I think it was pretty goddamn awesome.
Yeah.
Actually, I just
Yeah,
I watched it again on Blu-ray recently, and after like 3 years of not seeing it, and I was totally like blown away. I disagree with you about it not being a Bond film. There were more elements that were added, like that were more subtle elements in the film that I think added to it. But that's just my thought. I mean, we should all watch it again one time.
I haven't seen it since it was in theaters.
Oh,
So
since you and I went and saw it,
maybe I should give it another go and
it was
try it out.
it was honestly like I watched it right before Christmas on Blu-ray. Finally opened the Blu-ray and I sat down. I'm like, all right, I'll just pop this in, and I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. Like and I saw it with you when it came out, and I loved it when
Right.
it came out, and I was like, this is so much better the further into it I get. I don't know why. So anyway, I think we should probably wrap this conversation up because we've now moved on from that shit. So okay, so we're gonna give it a unanimous 3 for Bourne over Bond.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, with the caveat that Bond still gets better bitches.
Yes, Bond does score the higher quality poontang.
Indeed, he does.
Okay, so
Particularly in Thunderball. Just saying, that's my favorite Bond girl. Domino's my favorite Bond girl.
There we go. Okay.
Even though she's like old enough to be my grandma, don't care. Don't care. It's a movie. She didn't age in the movie, so.
All right. So now we know Mark's sexual fantasy. Awesome. I can sleep great tonight.
No, that's not even. No,
that's not even. No, we won't go into that because that's not this podcast.
Okay.
Okay. So, all right. So thank you everyone for listening to the season 2 premiere of Who'd Win in a Fight. I know it's a longer episode, but we appreciate you guys paying attention. You guys can listen to all season 1's episodes and future episodes at kzomradio.com. Also look for on iTunes, Zune, Stitcher, and YouTube. Just go to Kzom Radio. Google Kzom Radio. You'll find it all over the place. My name is Matt Jarbo, and for all of us here, we'll see you guys next week on the show. Have a good one. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Pocket Novel Publishing. Pocket Novels, individual short fiction, gives readers thrilling stories in another format. For less than the cost of a cup of coffee, you can enjoy an original work of fiction written by fresh, new voices in the world of short stories. For more details, go to pocketnovelpublishing.com.